Everyone dreams about the perfect retirement, but the problem is most people budget for the necessities and not for their passion. See, I just moved here to Spain. I just bought this house right back here. And I talk a lot on this channel about you have to decide what you want your retirement to look like so that you know how much it's going to cost, and then you know how much money you actually need to retire. And the biggest problem that most people make in their retirement planning is they budget for necessities. In this video, I'm going to really focus in on how to plan and budget for your passions, because that's what fills your days, it's what gives you fulfillment in your life, and it's the most important thing about retirement that a lot of people mess up. I'm Jeff. This is the Retirementality channel. It's a place where I want to change your mentality about retirement. And the reason that planning and budgeting for your passions is the most important part of your retirement plan is because it's your passions that give you the actual fulfillment in your life and in your days. And trust me, I know, because I retired at 45 and I moved down to the Virgin Islands, and I woke up on the most beautiful beach every day. And after about 6 months, I started feeling unfulfilled in the most beautiful place in the world, because I hadn't really planned what I wanted my days to look like, what I wanted my retirement to look like. I just thought, pick a beautiful place, one of the most beautiful places in the planet. But if you don't know what you want your days to look like, you can still wake up feeling unfulfilled. So today I'm going to give you a 3-step process of how to budget for your passions, because most people find themselves financially secure in their retirement, but still emotionally unfulfilled. So I'm going to give you a three-step process to plan and budget for your passions. Step 1, it may sound easy, but it is to identify what your passions actually are. And believe it or not, most people don't do this first step, and they can't go on to step 2 and 3 if you don't know what your passion is going to be in retirement. For me, I didn't know at the time that I wanted to buy a finca, or I bought a mountain here in Spain, and I spend a lot of my days working on the land here, clearing trails and things. So what do you want your passion to be? Do you want to travel? We watch a lot of YouTube content about people who retire and slow travel around the planet, and we thought that might be one for us, but we knew we were some people that needed a home base. That's kind of what started us to find this house in Spain, because traveling in Europe is cheaper than traveling in the States. So I think once we finally get this place under control, it's been kind of neglected for a while, we're going to do a lot more traveling around Europe. By the way, if you're interested in life in Spain, I started a new channel. I'll put a link up here, and I'll probably put a link down below. It's called Uncorked in Rural Spain. I didn't want to confuse the two channels because most people probably aren't here for finding out what it's like to live in Spain. But if you are, I've got a whole nother channel just devoted to what it's like to live in Spain. I did a budget of how much our monthly bills are over on that channel too. So if you're interested, go watch that. I digress. You got to find out what your passions are. What are you interested in? Are you interested in travel? Are you interested in learning something new? Photography or gardening or cooking? You know, those things, classes, photography classes cost money. Cameras cost money. I just bought this camera. Microphones cost money if you want to get into YouTube or making videos. So what is your passion going to be? You want to play golf every day? Great. Figure out, what does it cost to play golf? Whatever golf course you want to play every day, or do you want to travel and play different golf courses? Figure out what your passion is and make a list maybe of your top 5 passion ideas, and write those down and start figuring out what you actually want your passions to be after you don't have work to fill up your days every day. I even made a little PDF. I'll link to it down below. It's free, and I'll give it to you guys. It'll help you out with writing some of these things down and then putting an actual dollar amount cost to each of them. So I'll link to that down below just for free, because I like you guys. But you will hit the like button if you want that. That's what it's going to cost you. One free tap of the like button or subscription to the channel. Step 2 is to build a 2-bucket budget. I know a lot of people talk about a 3-bucket budget as you're leading up to retirement, because you have different things to fund. But once you get into retirement, you still have to have a budget, and you need to have bucket 1 is going to be for your necessities. Those are the things you have to pay for if you still have a mortgage or rent and cars and gas and all the stuff you have to pay for. And bucket 2 is your passion bucket, your dream bucket, everything you wish you could do in retirement, the travel, the golf, the hobbies, the fishing, the buying a boat, whatever it is, even volunteering. If you want to fly around the world and give aid to people in different disaster areas, all those things cost money. And you need to have those 2 buckets, because when you don't have the passion bucket, You always feel like maybe you don't deserve it. Maybe that's the extra money you're not supposed to be spending. You've got to budget into your life the money that you want to do for your passions. Otherwise, you'll end up sitting on your couch just hoarding your money because you're afraid to spend it. But when you budget for fun, when you budget for your passions, something in your brain just lets you spend that money, and it's a little bit guilt-free because you planned for it, and it makes it easier to spend the money on the things that you want to do because you worked your ass off to get to retirement, and the point was to have fun and have a great life. And so let's spend some of that money you worked so hard to get. One of the things I always tell entrepreneurs and people who are self-employed is to pay yourself first. Otherwise, you never get paid because all the money gets divvied up. It's the same for investing. I always say invest your money when you're saving for retirement. Put that money in first. But otherwise, you just invest what's left over. It's the same with this retirement budget. If you don't budget for the fun and the passions, you'll end up just spending a little bit that's left over, and the leftover money is never enough to do the things you actually want to do. And step 3 is actually funding the passion budget. Okay, look, some people are trying to do retirement on a small budget. Some people have bigger budgets. So I'm going to give you a few ideas on how to fund the passion budget. And number 1 is downsizing. It's something that we did. Actually, we sold our dream house in Florida and we bought this dream property here in Spain. When we sold our house in Florida, after we paid off the mortgage, we had about 500 grand left over that we had accrued in equity and from paying down our mortgage, etc., doing some remodels that added equity to the house. And when we bought this house in Spain, we spent less than that, and we got 35 acres of land here and a pretty cool house. I did a house tour over my other channel. I'm going to do one on this channel too. I'm going to do a shorter version of it. I need to do that. I told you guys I was going to do it, and I will do that very soon. We got family coming in tomorrow for like 5 days, so it's not going to be for at least 5 days because the house is probably going to be a disaster. But downsizing is one way that you can free up some money. We had money left over after the sale of that house and the purchase of this house and all of this land that we have. So downsizing is one way you can free up extra cash for passions like buying a mountain that you can clear trails on all day and work hard. I've lost some weight. I don't know if you noticed, I'm looking pretty good. I'll call that downsizing or relocating because we did both. We downsized and we relocated to a less expensive place. You can downsize without relocating, or you can relocate without downsizing if you want to make things even. So there's a lot of ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Obviously, leveraging passive income from your investments. That's how most people retire and live off their investments. I personally do it with rental income. Some people do it with ETFs, with mutual funds, with stocks, with crypto, whatever it is, leveraging that money. But you have to just, when you're doing the budget, don't forget to say, okay, I'm going to live off the 4% rule. So I need $1.8 million to fund my necessities. Just don't forget to put the passions in there, and that PDF down there will help you figure out what your passions are going to cost so you can put them into the budget so that it's guilt-free spending. And another way you can do it is part-time fun work. I call it recreational employment. People talk about the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. I call it financial independence, recreational employment, because it's okay to work in your retirement. This YouTube channel is a ton of work. It pays me very little money, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy, so every now and then somebody says my video helped them, and I like that very much. So any kind of part-time work you want to do, if you want to have a craft or a hobby that you can sell on Etsy, or if you want to be a tour guide in a city where you live, do walking tours or food tours or bicycle tours, or there's a lot of fun things you can do in retirement. Maybe working at a garden center and watering the plants. That's what my mom always said. My mom loves gardening. She always said, like, if she needed to go back to work, she would go to work at the Home Depot and water the plants, or go to a garden center and just water plants all day. It's like anything that brings you joy and pays you some money. It's okay to do it in retirement if you need a little extra money to fund the passion. Look at the passion budget as an investment in your mental well-being, because trust me, you'll be much happier when you get to do fun things in your retirement. And now I'm going to give you 3 common mistakes people make with this passion funding idea. And the first one is waiting until retirement to figure out what your passions are. The earlier you can do this, the more, and the easier it is to figure out how much they're going to cost. So figure out what you want your passions to be before you retire, because maybe your passion is more expensive than you thought it was going to be, or maybe it's cheaper than you thought it was going to be. And then if it's cheaper, you might work too long when you could have got 3 extra years of retirement. But if it's more expensive, you might retire too soon and run out of money. So the sooner you can figure out what it is, and it's going to change. Like I say, I didn't know I was going to buy a house in Spain when I retired, but hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to roll with it. The second common mistake people make is misunderstanding the actual cost of your passions. That's why I have the PDF down there so that you can write down what you think it's actually going to cost. If you're going to go golfing once a week and it costs $120 for the greens fee and a cart, you know, you can figure out what that's going to cost. But don't forget, you're probably going to have lunch and a couple beers with your buddies, and they're going to want to go play the other golf course that's 3 hours away, and you're going to spend the night, and you're going to do, and maybe you're going to fly to Pebble Beach and play that course once a year. So figure out what the actual cost of, people underestimate what their passions cost all the time, and that's a big mistake. And then you don't get to do, then all of a sudden your passion becomes a splurge and you don't get to do it all the time. So figure out what your passion is and figure out what the actual costs are. And the third thing I think people underestimate, the ones who actually figure this out ahead of time, calculated the cost, and they're going to retire in 10 years, they forget to calculate in inflation. I think a lot of people who think I'm going to live off the 4% rule and retire in 12 years from now with $1 million, and that's $40,000 a year, and they think that's going to cut it if they add that with their Social Security or whatever. They forget that $40,000 today doesn't look like what $40,000 is going to look like 12 years from now. So don't forget to calculate inflation in. If you're ahead of the game and you're doing all these things like I'm suggesting ahead of time, or maybe you got 12 years and this video is just a light bulb epiphany for you, don't forget to factor in inflation, because that takes a big bite out, and taxes also. So what can you do today to get ready for this? You can go fill out that little PDF I have down there, so you can name 5 passions, figure out what they cost, figure out how you're going to fund it, share this video with somebody maybe who is struggling in retirement or getting ready for retirement. Another thing you can do is you can get more financial tips on retirement ideas on this channel. Subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button down there. And if you like this video and you're getting close to retirement, go watch this video, because it has more tips of things to avoid when you get to retirement. Thank you for watching.